Now, this week, details were leaked of a New South Wales Government Cabinet proposal to soften drug laws, letting young people off with just a warning if they're caught with any illicit drug, even if it's ice or heroin. Only on the third time that they're caught by police would they get a criminal conviction. Here's the Premier confirming that plan after it was leaked in the media.
Diversion strategy?
Well, for children, I think for children, I think for young people, there's options there. But can I say, in the starkest terms, and I want to back the police on this, I want to back our community on this, I want to back families who have suffered as a consequence of this. All too many families continue to suffer.
And she says she wants to back the police on it, but the police minister was the strongest opponent of this in Cabinet before the first version passed through her Cabinet. Of course, as you'd expect, these proposed soft drug laws were welcomed by the Greens and Labor. Have a look.
If this all does stack up, well, then it's a major win for common sense. It's a major win for young people who can go about their daily lives without being monstered by police. And at the end of the day, it's a win for police.
This is a very, very dangerous Cabinet proposal, letting young people off, children off, as the Premier just put it, with just a warning if they're caught with some of the most dangerous illicit drugs around, from ice to heroin to ecstasy, sends an extremely dangerous message. It tells young kids, teenagers, that it's fine to experiment. It sends the signal that it's okay, that this isn't a serious issue, and that will ultimately encourage drug use. It encourages the drug spiral, addiction, and leads to a life of mental illness, depression. It could lead to schizophrenia, unemployment, homelessness, crime, living on the streets, a squandered life, throwing away every opportunity our young generation are born with in this country. And that is if they even live, if they don't die of a drug overdose or suicide or any other complication that goes with the use of hard drugs. This destroys families and communities, streets and neighbourhoods. And not only is this an extremely dangerous policy, but it also goes to the heart of the New South Wales Government's identity or lack of identity. This government is not a Conservative, not even a centre-right government when it is adopting and passing through Cabinet Greens policy. Now, it was 15 years ago, in October 1995, the beautiful young schoolgirl Anna Wood died after taking an ecstasy tablet at a rave party. She told her parents she was at a sleepover but went to a club instead. At 5 a.m, she began to feel sick and started vomiting, and she was taken to a friend's house, put to bed, where she continued to be sick, confused, and lapsed into unconsciousness. Her parents were finally informed at 10 o'clock in the morning, and she was then taken to hospital where she was in a coma. The following day, she was declared brain dead and her life support was turned off. I know most of you will remember this from at the time, and it was a very significant story, a very big story. Her father, Tony Wood, has spent his life since then campaigning on the dangers of drug use with a famous Say No to Drugs campaign. He joins me now. Tony, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Sharri. It's good to talk to you.
It's good to have you on. You've put so much work over the years into campaigning against drugs and warning the younger generations just how life-threatening and dangerous they can be. Your daughter is proof of this. And here is a plan by the Berejiklian government, a supposedly Liberal Party Conservative government, to let young kids off with just a warning if they're caught with some of the most dangerous drugs. What's your reaction?
Look, the Liberal Party's lost their way, haven't they? I think they've just put the lid on their own coffins by doing this. I think that people... I was at a Liberal Party meeting last Thursday night when all this came out. And there was 47 people there, and I don't think any one of the 47 Liberal members there want this to happen. I'm not a member of the party anymore. I resigned when Malcolm Turnbull took over, so I'm no longer in the Liberal Party. It's fine, but I still go to meetings and things like that when I'm invited. Yeah, they just couldn't understand where this is all coming from. This Mark Speedman, he's got it wrong. Sharri, if you only got to look at the cigarette laws over the years, we didn't get the laws passed the way they are now. I mean, I wouldn't dare walk into my club and order a beer and light up a cigarette. You just don't do it anymore. It's there. We know that you don't smoke anywhere in public these days. You just don't do it. But we're liberalising these drug laws so kids can go out, take them, what, 1, 2, 3, maybe the fourth time they get into trouble. The first, second, third, the only trouble they're going to get into is brain damage. And when you look at the people who have died from these drugs, most of them are first-time users. So we've got to stop them starting. That's the only way we're going to save lives. Not doing what this Mark Speaker wants to do. We've got to stop them from from starting the drugs and taking them.
For people who are watching who aren't in New South Wales, Mark Speakman is the Attorney General in New South Wales who brought this plan to Cabinet. He's also a leadership aspirant. He wanted to replace Gladys Berejiklian when it looked like she was going to go over that ICAC fiasco. I think this rules him out squarely of being a leadership contender. Tony, there's the argument that's been put forward that a zero-tolerance approach may scare kids into not taking their friend to hospital, getting medical treatment, or not calling parents. You know, it's something another mother spoke about in the Daily Telegraph this weekend, and she'd also lost her child. Hers was to a drug overdose. What's your response to this argument?
Well, I think every time Angie and I have ever been into a school or any public meetings, the first thing we tell people, look, if someone's in trouble, get them to hospital, get some help straight away. And we've got to educate people to do that. There's no hazard in doing that because you're not going to get into trouble. You're going to get into trouble if you don't take them to hospital because your friend's going to die or even worse, have brain damage for the rest of their life and not survive it. It's terrible. I mean, it's 25 years for us, not 15 years that we've been doing this now, and I'm still getting...
apologies for my miscalculation.
That's all right.
A long time. She was 15 in 1995. Yeah,
it is. So, but, look, I still get at least once a week someone contacts on the internet because their kid's in trouble with a drug situation. I haven't got the answers. All I can tell you is it's good to go out and be able to talk to kids and warn them and tell them what it's like to lose a child because it's really painful. It's not good. It really hurts for a long time. As I said, 25 years for us and still, not every day, but most days, Anna will come into my thoughts and I feel really sad and I just wonder what she'd be like now, 25 years on, you know. Would she be married with kids of her own? Just to make a silly mistake and go out there. And the punishment for people distributing these drugs is nothing. It's a slap on the wrist. They really should be given a hefty punishment for what they're doing. As I said, you wouldn't go into a club or a restaurant and light up a cigarette these days, but it's okay to go out and take some or smoke some dope or whatever, and all you'll get is a warning. It doesn't work.
Absolutely. They should be going in the opposite direction and increase the penalties to deter teenagers from doing this or taking that chance, particularly those who are borderline and wondering whether or not to do it. Tony, thank you very much for your tireless effort over the years. I'm so sorry and so sad to hear, of course, how difficult it's been. Thank you very much for...
No, thank you, and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully the government will see some sense in this issue, and if not, Berejiklian government does not deserve to be in office.